Today is Monday, March the 15th, and the financials you can see were red, but pretty much everything else was green. The only one in technology, the big stocks, Microsoft, consumer cyclical, Amazon were down. Apple was up 2.5%. But here's what happened to the market. It picked up right around 11:30, all three markets, and it shot up right at the end. So that's a pretty good sign. Advancers led decliners, not quite, but almost 2-1. Here's the bullish thing about the McClellan oscillator right now. We are building up this complex pattern here, but we've got now 3 days in a row where the McClellan has stayed up but below the overbought line. What ideally we would like to see for a nice complex pattern is for the McClellan oscillator to come down right around this area here, right in the middle, and then pop back up again. And then you know that the bulls have tried, but the bears have overcome, and then you get what's becoming a solid bullish complex pattern here. But take a look at what McClellan himself had to say on Friday. And the key takeaway from there, I'd like you to read it, but the key takeaway from there, he's talking about liquidity. And it says we can still look forward to worrying about one or more bearish divergences in the future, but for now the message is that liquidity is just fine and the uptrend should continue. Remember that the McClellan oscillator indicates the movement of money. So when it's moving up, it means that the two moving averages used to calculate that line are diverging, and it means that money is moving into the market as opposed to out of the market. So let's take a look now at the charts, and there's some interesting stuff to see here. First of all, the Dow Jones made a new high. The NASDAQ did not, but it fell just below the cloud. Now, I want to show you something interesting here, because what we have on the daily is that the NASDAQ, if it comes up tomorrow and hits 13,130, 133, it's going to run into the cloud, the 50 simple moving average, and whenever we see coincidences like that, we tend to think that that is resistance. Now that is going to be the Chiku span below the 20 simple moving average back here, but that's just a second point of resistance. But look tomorrow for this here, resistance here, and that's why I'm going to mark it so we can look at it tomorrow. The S&P was up 25.6. That is a new high, so that is quite bullish. The volatility index continued to drop, and now we're into the comfort zone, which indicates that fear is off and the market should continue to move up. These are the stocks that I'm going to cover today in rapid fashion. And I'm going to add one more, and that's MP, which is a new play brought to my attention last week by a friend, and that is in the rare earths, American rare earth producer, which should be something you want to keep an eye on. ALEC is that biotech stock with the drugs that are a drug that is in second stage clinical trials for Alzheimer's. This is not a short trade for me. When you buy a pharma stock, you're in it for the next event, right? Good news on a clinical stage is going to move the stock up. Bad news is going to move it down, and then you get out one way or the other. We're also approaching the 38.2, but this is not a stock that I'm short-term trading. I'm going to hold on to it thinking that it's going to have success with this drug because Abbott has backed them, I think, with a couple of $100 million to aid in the phase 2 clinical trials. So that's a very good sign. Apple up $3.21. Nothing remarkable in the basic charts, but the Ichimoku now is in the cloud, and we're approaching 78.6 on this annual Fibonacci. You might see resistance there. ABBV is another long-term buy that I've purchased. And this again is just so that I have some healthcare pharmaceutical exposure, and it's almost a 5% dividend. So that's why I have it, but it's looking good in both the Chiku span and above the cloud. IBM is another one that I've started to move into as I'm divesting myself a little bit of some of the financial stocks and trying to diversify. IBM is another one. It's over a 5% dividend, and that's why I have it. And let's look at the cloud, and you can see that it's a flat cloud, but it's moving up. Might come back down to test the cloud, but the Chiku span would have support on the cloud sooner than that. So I don't expect the candle will come back all the way down. BLDR, Builder's First Choice, which I got out of, had a nice day today. Big pull back to the 9 and 8 EMA, then a move up. So my alert there is 47.48, and then it'll look good, but stuck in that channel. I would still buy some above there, but then I would wait for resistance at the channel, top of the channel, and then buy some more. Home Depot finally broke above the cloud, but you can see the Chiku span is still in this candle. Where is it going to come out? If it comes out in here, then we would worry that it's going to be range bound by the Chiku span and resistance on these candles. So we'll just watch that. NIO is the other one that I'm holding on to with 1,500 shares. I have short 60s, so I'm not too worried about that. Finished up at the top of of last week's range. This is a weekly chart. Finished up at the top of last week's range, or a little bit off of Friday. Remember, it got its bounce on the 200, and that was the buy signal. PRGS is the one that we're following on a Gartley pattern, finished Gartley pattern, and then the beginning of another Gartley pattern, and we're watching to see that it goes to 47.24, and we're trading that from the C to the D. One more, and then I'm going to show you another stock to follow, which is doing potentially a Gartley BAT pattern, BAT pattern. And then the other stock we follow, Square, up very nicely today. That's a weekly chart. Let's look at the daily chart, and you can see the Chiku span above the cloud, candles, moving up above the cloud, and the cloud in the future is moving up, then tailing off. So let's take a look at how that behaves. How's it behaved in the past when it has an up and then a down? Well, up and then a down. It certainly came and it pierced the cloud back here. Not quite the same, but when you see the red cloud forming, it's not really a very good sign. So we're going to keep a watch out on that, and that is a bit of a concern going forward, is that right there. So the last stock I want to talk to you about is MP. And you would think that this is a good buy because it's going to be in an area that is mining materials that are in short supply in North America, and the Chinese control that market and could put a clamp down on exports. Big move up today of 9%. So my friend moved into this on Thursday, very good move. But what concerns me is when we draw these Fibonacci's. Now this is a bit of a stretch. When I tried to do automatic Gartley pattern with Motive Wave using this auto harmonic tool, it didn't pick anything up. But I thought I saw something here, so I drew a manual pattern starting with X to A, and then I took it down to this point here. Let me just show you how I did it. The video's over now. If you're not interested in this stock, I'll talk to you tomorrow. But let me just show you how I drew that one. So I go into the tool, and it looks like a bat pattern with a 38.2% pullback because it did have a 38.2% on that Fibonacci right there. So take that. That is your A. This is your B, which is also the 50 simple moving average. And then just put the C anywhere and the D anywhere. And let's see what a future predicting bat pattern could look like. If it's a bat pattern, it would finish at $49.87, $50 roughly, and then it would start to move back because this is a bearish bat pattern where the XA is bullish, but the initial pullback is bearish. Then you have a weak bullish surge, and then the bulls just can't make it back up to 51.77, so it quickly drops off. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we're going to keep an eye on it, and let's look and see if C becomes something of interest. And then if you want to, you can trade short all the way down to D. But certainly if it starts looking like that kind of a pattern, you want to take your profits and get out. We'll just follow this stock over the next week or two.